Mr. Pash,
Yo, how are you, sir?
I am fantastic. How are you?
Good. I'm going to have a call with Tom on Saturday. If there's anything that you need me to push, advocate for, just shoot me a text.
Okay. I had a call with him the other day. He kind of overpromised and underdelivered before he asked me, but I don't know if you recall or not, but on AMM was not, or RCI feeds, they don't have access to customer date of births. And so we didn't have that in the CDP because they couldn't get it. So he completely forgot. And he acted like he never knew, right? He was, I'm not mad. I'm like, oh, you shouldn't be mad. I mean, because we're RCI's or AMM's our partner, and they told us many
Yeah.
times that they could not get it, and it's not exposed in any RCI feeds for security reasons. Reynolds doesn't give out data bursts. So anyhow, he thought I was. We had a call the following day, and he goes, "I can tell when Jim's getting a little bit overwhelmed or has a lot on his plate because he gets a little testy with me like he did last night." And I'm like, I started laughing. I'm like, I wasn't testy. I'm just telling you, you knew,
I'm just telling you the facts that you didn't want to
right?
hear.
Right. So,
Gary, how are you?
I'm good. What's going on, gentlemen?
Man,
what's up, Gary?
Hello, hello, sir.
I'm looking forward to seeing you in a few weeks.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time.
I ordered some new gear, some new CXO jackets,
I
Oh,
heard.
excellent.
black zip ups, thin,
Wow.
thin.
I
So
got the, so the long story short, Brian, I have that data ready to go into the new profile from Reynolds with the customer birthdays. I said if a vendor needed it, I gave it to them. It wasn't like they
right.
didn't have it, right? I said it just wasn't loaded in the CDP. So anyhow, I said I'll handle that, and it's just sitting there waiting to go into the CDP, and I had to figure out the Reynolds. It reverses their opt-ins and opt-outs. So if they have consent, yes or no. Consent, yes, means you have permission to email them, right? As opposed to opt out, yes means they're opted out. So I had to work some magic to in Reynolds to convert all those yeses to nos and those to
Hey,
yes.
the life of a data scientist. Yes, yes.
I don't know
Okay,
about the word
so guys,
scientist.
thanks for taking time. Let me just give you a little context. So this is a little bit of a coming out party for Liminal. Am I saying that correct, David? Liminal.
Liminal, yep.
Yep. And so no one knows who Liminal is. You guys know
We
David's.
know.
Yeah. Um, you guys know David. And so what I thought we would do is create a little teaser. So, Gary, uh, just this, we're not live recording. We're recording, but not for the show. Um, what do you want to highlight on the value in the partnership with David? Just so I can take a couple notes. Like, what's been really good about this partnership?
Around David and his team in general, or about
Yeah.
the actual tech, or everything.
Just a couple highlights because obviously I'll guide the questioning, but what do you think has been like? What would you tell a dealer? Hey, how was your experience at Liminal? What would you say?
I would say the tech platform itself literally does everything we need it to do. And David and team are more open and responsive to basically meeting everything we need. So not just in general of what we've asked for up front, but as we've gone along through the process and we've needed changes or requested changes, um, that's all been accommodated very quickly.
And Gary, you and I haven't caught up in a while because you don't love me that much. You like me, but not love me. Is Telium out of the loop now?
You've got me on the bat phone anytime you want
Yeah,
me.
okay. Yeah.
Telium, so we gave notice to Telium back in September, and like we
So
still
are you running on the liminal program completely now and Telium's out, or where are you with that?
we have shut off all events in Telium as to not incur any more costs. We are exiting out of our contract with them. That'll end officially in January, but we're not running that anything in that platform at all now.
Okay, so
And
you've cut over to liminal.
we have 4 stores currently on Liminal running the CDP, the activation platform, and the data service. And we're going to be onboarding the rest of our network starting next week,
Great.
which David thinks he can pull off in 2 days.
He's full of shit. I mean, no, he's really not a guy.
I'm going to record it.
Yeah. Jim.
Yeah, we're going to record it.
Jim, what's your feedback on working with liminal? What would you say to a dealer?
Yeah, so obviously mine's slightly different than Gary's, but the part of the attraction was it feels like we're a lot closer to tech, right? In a technical expertise in David, then so he added like a resource to me and to Morgan that we didn't have before to
Right.
work through some of these, because it's a lot of this stuff is complicated, right? And to have someone of David's area of expertise to talk through some of this stuff really helps me understand it more, right? And
Right. Like
his
APIs and some
right.
of this data.
Right. So
integration.
exactly. So it helps strengthen, because in the future, having a person like with my skill set at a group or a store is going to be probably table stakes, as you call it, right? So having someone like David to help um, educate and you know give you give you information about how things work, and it was definitely helped me get up to speed quickly.
Great. And is Morgan using their identity graph to help resolve more people? Where are we with that, Jim?
Yeah, so it works with David. It's slightly different than how we do it with Launch Labs, where with David, it's operating within his platform, right? So within his platform, when it's pulling the CDP data, it's resolving identity within his platform. Now we have the ability, and I think we're definitely pushing the iFish stuff into Telium, but they're using it. Anyone or Affinitive is using it on their platform. So that's where
Right.
you toggle
So
on and
his
off.
identity graph is activating marketing through Affinitive and
Right.
also updating the CDP. Is that correct? Is that a
That's correct. Right,
okay.
David? We are pushing those signals, the iFish signals to the unknown visitor. We were at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
we are. We are.
yes. And I think probably the primary solution that we offered through Affinitive, yes, was the identity resolution, but it was more about the marketing automation, being
Right.
able to segment each. You build one audience in Telium, it comes into the Liminal platform, segments by dealership, and then can be activated by the touch of a button for marketing purposes just by clicking each button. But we can add the identity resolution into each audience at the dealer level, right? Did all that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
So the audiences out of Telium are really then post-processed and activated through Liminal.
Correct.
And Affinitive is basically running that task. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So David, let's just talk quickly.
I have one more.
Oh,
Sorry.
go ahead, Jim. Sorry.
Yep, that's okay. So the other component, and this just popped up recently, is you always run into something new, something different, another need that you didn't know you had, especially nowadays, the way things are changing quickly, right? So
Yes.
we Brett hired a commercial guy to cover all Morgan stores and all brands. So Brett called me and said, like, Jim, we have any ideas on what we can do with this? And I said, I have exactly the perfect idea, right? We can use David Solers, and and Brett even joined the
When you
call
say
with
a commercial guy, I don't know what you mean.
commercial sales. Sorry. truck
Oh,
sales,
sorry, sorry, a
commercial
commercial guy.
vehicles,
Okay, I
Fleet
was
and
like
commercial
commercial, yeah.
vehicles. Yes,
advertising on
sorry about
TV.
that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So, so anyhow, we're able to, and we kind of I met with David and met with Tom Kerr a little bit because obviously within there needs to be some creative and some stuff. But so this whole platform is going to be like super easy to stand up to make a commercial platform for marketing to all the brands that we have, all the CDP data, because commercial, customers that have emails that are in the stores that are buying cars, they're out shopping on websites too, right? So we can track their website activity. We can see what brands they're looking at. We're going to include people that are buying cars from non-commercial style dealerships, like say Audi. You don't sell a lot of commercial vehicles at an Audi store, but if a company is buying a car from them, right, maybe they need landscaping trucks, right? So we're going to bring all of that data together, and David's platform is just like tailor-made for being able to stand something like that up in a blink of an eye. And it may not even necessarily be agency driven, right? It's going to be more Morgan, and we'll probably just because use Affinitive for creative and stuff to layer it into the platform. But though those types of solutions can be really easy, especially when you're a group, right? And you have a lot of
So
stores.
David, is Jim excited about the commercial piece because you can map up to the customer profile? Does that guy own a business that has commercial needs? Meaning, like, if Brian Pash bought an Audi and I know his address, are you able to then, using third-party data, say how many of these customers own a business? Or tell me why Jim thinks we could target owners, people who own businesses that buy commercial vehicles on your platform.
Yeah. Well, I think right now it's less about the third party data being appended to understand who's a commercial or who's a business owner that might want to buy a fleet of vans or what have you. I think it's more about the so currently, if they're gonna try to advertise to anybody who has purchased any business that's purchased the vehicle, let's just call it that in
Yeah.
general. They're going into the CRM for each dealership, trying to mine that information, then make
Right.
some
Pain
sort
in
of
the
a
ass, right?
yeah, make some sort of an email up to be able to send off a one off or a 20 off or whatever it's going to be per store. In this case, because Telium has all of that data, and we can or Jim can build an audience, just one audience for the whole group that revolves around whatever criteria they have that's important to them at the time. It could be
Yeah,
trucks,
but Jim,
vans,
I guess
whatever.
that's what I'm asking. Jim, what kind of query would you build an audience to try to trap commercial truck sales?
Right. So we don't currently are not bringing, and it may be a future case. I'm talking to AMM about it, but we don't bring in the what they call the IB flag in Reynolds individual business. So I did some tests, and it's extremely accurate that if the IB flag is set to be for business, the customer profile does not have a first name.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going off of, right? So we're going to say any profile that does not have a first name would be considered a business.
Oh, cool. Okay, good. All right. That's a little rabbit hole because I'm a marketing guy and a
Yeah.
data guy, so I'm trying, okay, where did Jim get that? And that was the missing piece. Okay. So David Solar, before we start recording, because we do have some general time constraints, we're going to be announcing Liminal, and are you, if I had to put words in your mouth, turnkey CDP from data orchestration, data hygiene, and data activation, um, as a service for dealers or self-serve platform, or either or? How would you give that option? How would you want to say it?
Either or.
Okay.
Uh, and I would add another layer there. Well, I should probably be careful with that. I was going to say agency involvement, but let's just call it self-serve or
Okay.
um,
And we have Liminal. Is it getliminal.com?
getliminal.com.
Okay.
And we're kind of going more with this idea of an all-in-one platform with CDP, MAP, marketing automation, and audience identification.
An ID. Okay, good. Okay, great. Super. And Gary, coming back to you because you're the most, clean shaven today.
Today.
I know you do look nice. I'm saying, should I put on a better shirt?
No,
I'm the only guy here in a
glad you put on a
t-shirt.
white shirt
It's
because
it's
you look
officially
like a
vest weather.
homeless person a few minutes ago. So the white shirt looks good. It's holy and everything.
Should I go put on a collar? I have no idea what to do here,
No,
Brian.
that's not you. You know that.
Okay.
Gary, seeing what David's doing, is he doing what you had envisioned, or is he gone even beyond what you were thinking? Like, is he the perfect match for what you were trying to achieve?
Yeah, I mean, you know that it's been a really long journey for us with CDPs, right? I mean, we started, we stopped, we started, we stopped. Then we went through a full-on build with another provider, and I think we've learned a ton in the last 3 years through that process. We started with David just using the marketing activation layer and made a lot of progress really quickly.
So taking the Telium audiences and pushing them into his platform like he's doing for Morgan, for
Correct. Correct.
and then you
But-
realized he could do it all.
Right. And, so the pieces for us that solved problems were built-in data hygiene process. We had been doing that all on our own,
Yep.
which is fine. We built it from scratch. We were A-okay. We've done all of our history, but now it happens real time every day. The unknown shopper identification. So we were already doing deterministic ID resolution. Now we're doing that plus probabilistic ID resolution.
Yep.
And we're getting audience data from David. So now we have the full power of what the CDP is that we wanted. That's honestly, the user interface is super simple to use. We're pushing all of that into the marketing activation platform. And inside that platform, we can turn on or off his audience data. And we can activate so many things at the touch of a button that it just makes our ability to be agile for the stores far better than it ever has been.
Good.
Right. I mean,
Okay,
and I
so
don't know
that's
if
the
you've
thing.
seen the platform, but like
No,
inside
he doesn't trust me. He was thinking I was gonna go sell it to Telium.
inside the activation piece, you can do so much, and
Okay.
it's just crazy. So we're pretty excited.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna officially start the recording, everyone, from this point on, and we'll be about 20 minutes or so. We're looking straight on camera. Gary, what's your title over at Modern?
Director of marketing.
And Jim, have you come up with the title yet?
I just call myself customer data manager or data manager.
You're the CDM? Okay.
Yeah.
CEO.
Technically, we added marketing and digital technology to my title, but I haven't really changed it anywhere yet, and I don't really know that you need to.
Okay, great. And then just remove, when you're talking, any references to iFish because it will just completely confuse people. So it's
Yeah.
liminal. Okay, working with David and his team at Liminal. Okay, we all set? Okay, let's get, I got my notes. I'm ready to go. Okay, here we go.
Hey, hold on.
ahead.
Can I change? Does my name just literally show up all one word lowercase on your podcast?
What are you worried about?
I don't know. It looks stupid.
Listen,
I don't know
Gary,
how to fix it.
don't
This
worry.
is-
You're screwed now. Don't worry.
yeah.
You can't
Okay.
change it.
Don't worry. Don't
I don't
worry.
even know how to fix it. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Okay, here we go. Hi, this is Brian Pash, and welcome to another exciting podcast interview today we have the three musketeers. No, just three leaders. And we're going to be talking about a brand new company that's coming to market. Their debut is at the Modern Retailing Conference coming up November 16th, 17th, 18th in Palm Beach. I'd like to welcome the CEO of Liminal, David Solar, Jim Kazabuki, the Chief Data Manager for the Morgan Auto Group, the largest dealer group in the state of Florida, Gary Ledoux, the Director of Marketing for the Modern Automotive Group. And today we want to talk about their experience with working with David and the team at Liminal and what this company is trying to solve, which I believe is an important gap in the current solutions that are on the market. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thanks,
David,
Brian.
let's start with you in your perfectly clean white shirt. David Solar
Uniform.
announcing Liminal. Dave, you've been in technology for a long time. You've been behind the scenes working with dealer groups. Today, you're announcing publicly that Liminal has built a turnkey data hygiene, data orchestration, data activation with an identity resolution layer that's turnkey for dealers, meaning fully managed, or self-serve for agencies, large dealer groups that want a simpler, faster, and easier way to activate their first-party data. David, what would you tell the dealers who are listening in? What's the core reason, knowing that there's other competitors on the market, why did you decide to bring your technology, which has been behind the scenes for some time, to market?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think interestingly enough, when you mention gaps, I think for everybody, the gap is unique. At least that's what I'm finding as I speak with dealerships and groups. The gaps are unique. And so as we have worked with different people to help fill those gaps and identify what needs there are, we've realized that there's a combination, I guess, of solutions that maybe can help accomplish a larger percentage in one shot, I guess. And so making things simple, fast, and flexible is what we're aiming to do, where from one login, you can manage it all, and we can help with that process. So I don't know if we want to get into too much detail as to what that is. I think for guys like Jim, where we're more serving as an automation platform and an ability to manage multiple activations in one place. We help a little bit with that. For Gary, we're operating a little bit more as you mentioned, hygiene, the CDP with the automation and the identity resolution all wrapped up in one. And it's different for everybody. Gary's got a team.
And I think that's why we wanted to have Gary and Jim on the phone today, or on the phone. Look at that, on the webinar. That's such an old phrase. But I want to start with Gary because the gaps are different. And so for dealers who are not familiar with Gary, Modern Auto Group, multiple store, how many stores are in the group today, Gary?
17.
Right.
We built our Genesis point this past spring.
Yeah, and if you've been following my writings, I've been telling dealers, look, once you have 10 plus stores, your needs are very different than a single point store. And, of course, Morgan over 75 stores. And that's why I want to have what I would call like a mid-sized dealer group and a larger dealer group on today's interview, because when someone says, I got a great product, my first reaction is, let me talk to the dealers who are using it. So Gary, let me set the stage. You and I have been working together in the CXO network, right? The group we kind of moderate for larger dealer groups. And you've been studying CDPs, you've tested, you made a decision, you went down a path to build out the CDP, but it wasn't exactly what you wanted. And you found David's company initially, right, to help you take audiences out of the CDP and activate them. And now, a year later, you're going to run the entire group off his platform. I know it's complicated, but what made you decide to kind of pivot? No one likes to say, oh man, this wasn't the right fit. What was the reason why you wanted to pivot to the Liminal platform for your 17 stores?
I mean, in the shortest sense of the word, it was just much easier to use. I mean, we have a pretty big vision with our marketing goals and how we want to use our data platform. It's not like, hey, we just want to harness our first party data and use it. We have a much bigger aspiration there. We want to build a database. We want to be able to supplement that database with as much information that's going to make it easier for us to be more relevant to how we're talking to the customer. So long term, we need somebody that helps us do that. And it's not like other providers couldn't help do that. They could, but with this platform, we get everything we need all in one, and it's super simple to use. And David's team has been just the utmost responsive to helping us solve problems.
Wow, that is a big thing. I always tell dealers, not only do you need a technical person inside a dealer group who can handle data, connectors, APIs, but you got to make sure on the other side that you have I believe, a domestic support team that's on the same hours that you're dealing with business needs with. And I'm glad to hear that. I'm going to flip up to Jim. Jim has been on my podcast before. We've worked side by side rolling out the Morgan CDP. And Jim, you are using Liminal through your agency partners to help activate faster campaigns, do more complex delivery of data. But you also mentioned to me that David and his team have been an amazing resource to help fill gaps. Let's talk about that because you've been in the dealership world for a long time. You're a Reynolds expert. You're a data reporting expert. But this CDP project required you to develop some other skills. And how has Liminal helped you be more successful and Morgan be more successful in their data strategy?
Yeah, so we going into the project, right? I knew data. I had a pretty good grasp of data, but we started getting into things like APIs and then integrations with iframes and the data flow, and that was kind of new to me, right? That was so. David definitely, we would have calls, or we still do have calls, right? Sometimes on helping me talk through solutions, right? One of the ones that comes to mind is the whole opt-outs stuff with texting opt-out and email opt-out. I mean, we probably have talked for 4 or 5 hours just on that subject alone, right? So having someone that gets data as well as David, I mean, he has his own data graph or ID graph, right? So he really gets how this stuff works and the intricacies of it. So in the beginning, we started talking about APIs, and what he opened my eyes to and gave me the knowledge in the courage to tackle. Right now, Morgan, we have our own system in which we can send out our data via API to vendors. And I probably would have never gone down that path, or would have never had the knowledge if it wouldn't been for David.
And let's talk about, because both of you and Jim, today, your agency of record for Morgan is using the Liminal platform to take audiences out of the CDP and then doing really complex division by store, personalized marketing, and doing some really cool things that makes it super easy for an agency to work with a CDP, right? So Liminal, in your case, is the best marketing activation partner. And Gary, you started there and now moving over to the whole soup to nuts. But both of those experiences also included the education on identity resolution. Previously, both of you were just doing deterministic, and now deterministic and probabilistic using Liminal's data graph. Gary, how are you seeing that as a positive? Because sometimes dealer groups, "Oh, I'm not sure if your data graph is accurate. I'm not sure, if it's going to provide a lift. I'd rather just collect all the data myself." Where are you? Because right,
Yeah.
we've talked about this before, about the best of both worlds is trying to figure out who's on your website in addition to the ones you absolutely know.
Yeah. I mean, so a couple thoughts there. I think the easiest way to answer that question is by explaining some of the things we've already activated. So, when you start the whole process, your known shoppers are low, right? There's just no way around it, right?
In a deterministic model, they have to fill out a form or click on an email. So at the beginning, you're like 0 and building.
Exactly. I mean, you have all the data you've pulled in from your DMS, so you can, query those records and build audiences based off of that. And those people, that's all beautiful, right? But the people who are currently shopping on your website is where it's low resolution. So we're doing two things. One is we're running bulk email deployments out of David's platform, out of Liminal, in order to drive more deterministic ID resolutions, in order to identify as many records as quickly as we can. So we're ramping up our bulk email deployments as fast as we can.
And that's to get them to click on a link once so that that email address can be associated with the digital ID.
Correct. And it goes from a shopper ID to a customer ID at that point.
Right.
So the second thing is we wanted to utilize David's data graph, and we wanted, obviously, to help out our stores as much as we can. So the first thing that we activated was one-to-one email communication. And so Brian comes to the website, you're shopping for a Toyota RAV4, you get put into the Toyota RAV4 audience. That audience pushes over to the activation platform. That platform sends out an email within 24 hours that says, "Hey, Brian, we've got some great offers on Toyota RAV4s," right? Most of those email deployments that occur from the one-to-one are probabilistic resolved IDs from his data graph, because there's just not that many known already in
Correct.
the probabilistic side. So that allows us to also then build more IDs that are resolved. And the results from that have been pretty fantastic so far. I mean, we're seeing upwards of 80% open rates on those emails. We're seeing upwards of 60% click-through rates. It varies. We're running in 4 different markets today. We'll be in the rest of our markets next week. But really great performance. So, if I had to say, what's the barometer for how I know whether or not his data is solid or his ID resolution tool is solid, it's that.
Right. And
Right.
Jim, same thing, right? You started at Morgan with the deterministic, right, form fill or an email click, but we found out that some of the agencies took an awful long time to get emails sent out with a hashed value to do the stitching in the CDP. But we also saw that the known customer count grows slowly. So today, with David's identity graph powering known and predictive shopper through their marketing automation, how are you seeing that as giving Morgan a competitive edge?
Yeah, it's definitely gives us the capability to grow that much quicker. All the reasons that Gary mentioned, right? It's you have to, there's a lot of different ways to do it, but doing it organically takes time. So being able to layer that stuff in, and one of the things I think is cool too about being able, or David ingesting all of our CDP data, right? He gets all of the data from the CDP. So he's able to see and kind of test his identity graph by saying, okay, I know who this customer is. Morgan knows who this customer is. My data matches his data, right? So that's the other cool thing about having this data in the CDP. It helps, probably helps David in a way be able to improve what he's doing too. So we can test it, right? So some of the data moves from the probabilistic category into a deterministic once
Pretty
we're getting
quickly.
matches. Yep.
Yep. David, since you're a new company, and I try to hold everyone to unified standards, let me ask you a couple pointed questions. Just answer them as briefly as you can. When a new customer comes on, and Gary, I think you can identify with this, there is a struggle to get DMS data, CRM data loaded, get the signals from the call tracking. And listen, Jim and I were kind of breaking the ice early on to get vendors to use API. On average now on your platform, if a dealer is using a known DMS and a known CRM and website and maybe a car review or a car wars, how long does it take for you to ingest, do the initial data hygiene, and get things ready for a dealer to start collecting data, right, in real time and activating audience? What's that window of time? So it's
Yeah.
different for different platforms. So what about you?
Yeah. So for us, that was one of the advantages we had coming in, is understanding those challenges and being able to try to build to solve those. And we have a feature we call our tag the auto map tag, because it literally does auto map the site. So as we install the tag, it's immediately upon installation identifying over 700 different types of signals, recording those and displaying those for every visitor. That just happens out of the box. That's as easy as adding a GTM Google Tag Manager container on the site. That's same day. Then we got to get the customer data in. Well, let me back up, because then to mention, going back to what you said, there are third-party plugins on the sites and different types of forms. For most of those, we can it a lot of it, as you know, depends on how quickly we are responded to.
Yes, yes. Well, let's just
So
say that if you request to put a tag inside an iframe and they comply, let's just say the core processing of DMS CRM data and getting it uh, updated, deduplicated, and unified. What does that process look like? How long?
yeah, so great question. So for DMS data, for example, let's say we're pulling that out. We can do that through third parties who we can access through their APIs that are
Like
trusted partners,
Authenticom?
like Authenticom, for example. So let's say it's an Authenticom approach. Our system is integrated. We would enter in the Authenticom ID and hit go. Uh, and obviously, we have to go through the process of just send an email and get approval. We get approval, we enter the ID, hit go, and the system immediately begins ingesting the entire history. And as it ingests, it goes through the hygiene and appending process automatically. So realistically, we can apply the tag on day one and be tracking most everything you're going to want to track. And we can, if we made the request in the morning, for example, through Authenticom, by late afternoon, we typically would have the access to the data, and it begins flowing automatically. And all of the processes, as I mentioned, for NCOA, CAS, email hygiene, email alternate append, everything happens in line automatically.
Okay.
So if
And
everything
what
goes
about
perfect
getting
with
like
everyone,
yeah,
go
are
ahead.
we getting daily updates from the CRM, call
Yes.
tracking, stuff like that? Is that part of the framework as it exists today?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes.
And then once, obviously, some type of audience builder tool pushing out to the different marketing platforms, one of the I guess, challenges that I see in this is that with Gary's 17 stores, each store might have 10 or 15 different audiences based on the imagination of Gary and the stores. Jim, I know that Morgan has had a minimum kind of requirement of, let's think about, 5 or 6 great sales audiences, 5 or 6 great service audiences. It becomes a Rubik's Cube, right? Like a lot of moving pieces. How are you solving the problem of, hey, a CDP is great and we have micro audiences? Like somebody might create 10, 15 audience, but some are too small to send to Facebook or to Google. The only thing you could do potentially is email or text. Does the system based on size know what to do to communicate? I think that, I don't know, Gary, Jim, in other systems, it seemed like you had to create the audience, see how big it is, then decide what to do with it. That's a lot of work for 17 stores, 75 stores. David, how are you tackling that?
Yeah, so it's different in both of Jim and Gary's case because for Jim, the data is ingesting from the CDP. They're using a different CDP. So the data, so we built our system where Jim and the team can build one audience inside the CDP. Through an API, that one audience comes into our system, and then our system intelligently distributes or segments out
By
that
store.
by the store. And then we have an interface where you can see the list of the stores. You can see how many IDs fit that audience for the store, how many of them are known. And then just with touching a toggle to click it on, you click a toggle to send it to Facebook, send it to Google, send it to OTT, send it to email, whatever you're going to do. And where the audiences are small, you can see that based on the audience size listed next to the dealer name. And we can then toggle on the third-party identity resolution to enhance that audience and make it marketable where you're trying to market on platforms that have minimum audience sizes. So it's pretty simple as it ingests, builds the list, and then it's just turning things on and off as needed.
Gary, let's talk about your experience with the marketing automation, because Jim doesn't run the marketing. They have an agency of record, obviously, who's pleased with Liminal. How did it change your go-to-market strategy to turning the CDP and that clean data into revenue opportunities for the store? Because one of the biggest things that people need to understand, when you really have a data strategy, you will double or triple or quadruple the number of campaigns you're going to run.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
it can't be done manually without pulling your hair out.
Yeah. I mean, one of the running jokes we have in the building is when somebody asks a question around, hey, will the platform do X? The running joke is yes. Yes, we can do that. So yeah, I think it's worth noting that this particular activation platform will do one-to-one communication with email, text, direct mail, and online video / OTT. So
if the audience is too small for a Facebook or Meta, is that what you're saying, Gary?
yes, so you can deploy a one-to-one communication, which opens up a lot of doors. If you think about how finite you might want to make your audiences when you get down to a model level or the time constraints that you put on it, the audience can be pretty small. Plus, we have a handful of stores that are in smaller areas, smaller communities. And, the website traffic we get there isn't going to be the same website traffic we get in the North Charlotte market. So it gives us a lot of advantages. But because we have the unknown shopper ID and the ID graph that we can mash together, yeah, we have basically connected every audience that we've built to our Google and our Meta accounts, and we're ready to deploy any one of those other one-to-one pieces of communication at any given time. So beginning of the month, offers change, we talk to the stores, what's your inventory position, what's your area of focus. We come back into the platform. We turn on every one of those model audiences if they're not already on, or toggle ones off that don't need to be there. And then we pick our poison on how we want to deploy communication. And every one of those things is right there at our fingertips. It's fast. It's crazy.
So David, we didn't talk about one thing. Part of marketing activation is creative. So in the turnkey model, is the Liminal team creating the display ads, for example, or the dynamic videos and things for the dealers? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so all we take a little bit of a different approach to that. There is a whole creative builder UI there for drag and drop email creative, for example, or if you want to create your direct mail piece. We are going to preload with different types of audiences and creative templates that would be appropriate to make things you can hit the ground running. Equity position or declined service and things of that nature that might be stuff that you want to go after right away. But if you want to go in and create custom creatives, again, it's simple. It's drag and drop UI, and then where you need to do it at scale, if you have multiple rooftops, because the whole system is meant to either power a single point or multiple rooftops. We've got we call it smart scale. But the point of it is to be able to build one audience, one creative, and one campaign that can power every store. So the system with AI and just some intelligent programming will identify the user or the visitor, which store they came in from, what they're interested in, and it will then build the creative using the appropriate branding, contact information. It'll exchange
So
the
it's really
URLs.
personalized dynamic content gen with one campaign goal.
Correct. But yeah, so you can build once and it'll apply and work for every store.
Okay. Wow. Man, there's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah.
Jim, Morgan, I believe, has one of the most advanced data visions for a dealer group, and you've spent a lot of time there. You mentioned the technical support that you feel Liminal has given you. Obviously, the marketing automation piece is critical, right? Because people have said, well, what's good of having a CDP with unified data if you can't make money with it, you know? What's one thing we haven't talked about that you would say to a large dealer group, maybe already has a CDP investment, but has been stumbling with activation, or feels that they have a CDP investment, but they haven't fully realized their data vision? What's something we haven't mentioned on why they should consider reaching out with David and his team at Liminal?
Yeah, I think, we're still continuing to unravel some of those pieces, right? But, just recently we had a couple examples come up where, it could be, we're a Morgan corporate, we have 75 stores, right? And we really haven't unrolled a corporate CDP strategy yet, right? But when we do, and as we are starting to do it, like one of the ones recently was the commercial vehicle sales, right, system that we're talking about. So that is was an instantaneous liminal solution for in my brain, right? I instantly when it was brought up said, this is a perfect way to use this platform where we could do all the things, based upon store and brand, where we can load all that data in and create like an ongoing commercial sales, just like we would do for a store.
Right, a master commercial vehicle acquisition campaign across the
Right.
whole group with a central strategy, because you know
Yep.
which customers purchase car through businesses and the DMS, right? Morgan
Yep.
has those advanced flags. So you saw it
So to,
as, hey, I got an idea. If I need to market at scale, Liminal's a great partner for that.
right, because we have multiple agencies dealing across all of our 75 stores, right? So to coordinate that effort together, right, can be kind of tricky. But if we have, corporate um, campaigns that we want to do, whether it's newsletters from Morgan or whatever, his platform is just tailor made for that, right? Where they can be individually branded, right? So have a Morgan branding and the store branding, but it's tailor made for that. So that was really some of the things that have come to light recently that are kind of exciting me.
Great. Gary, I'm going to let you have close to the final word here because um, you've taken time. You and me had talked about this due diligence. Brian, I want to find the right platform. You got demos from everybody and their uncle who were selling a CDP. Um, there are going to be a lot of marketing managers, dealer principals, CXOs um, listening to this video. And I want them to close their eyes for a minute. And Gary, I want you to think about this. Having seen everything in the market, what would you say to the people who are shopping or a little frustrated, um, why they should look at Liminal, right? Think of yourself during the shopping phase.
Yeah.
What would you tell them that you
Yeah.
know now, right? Because there's things that Jim and I learned only, only at the end of a painful mistake,
Yeah.
What would you tell your peers right now on why they should at least get a demo of Liminal?
Yeah. I mean, number one, know what you're trying to achieve before you even start down that path. I think, you know, our goals have changed and evolved. It's been an iterative process. Um, but what I think Liminal is bringing to the table is um, more features and usability with their tech versus pretty much anybody out there. A built-in hygiene process. Um, it's easier to use, and because you have access to Liminal's data graph, that expands your possibilities right at the start line. So for me, it was a little bit of a no-brainer. And when David and I first started having the conversations, um, it took us quite a bit of time, to buy into it. But it wasn't because we didn't believe in what he was telling us. It was, let's be really, really thorough here. I think he and I had 2 3 hour conversations over 2 3 days straight to just make sure that he could do exactly what we wanted him to do. We got very down into the weeds over data mapping and data logic. Those are two things that I think get brushed under the carpet a little bit when people are talking about exploring their CDPs. David understands all of that really, really well, and he'll make it work for you. So he got us comfortable pretty quickly, and here we are. We're getting ready to crush it. So
Good. In a very short period of time.
yeah.
Right. David, one thing that is coming up, and I just published an article today about some of the gaps, and you are working on the centralized opt-in and opt-out, and that's surely an issue. Another piece is if all the dealers' data is in one place, right? And you're activating, and the dealer says, well, look, I want to pop up on my phone system. So when the BDC comes, I want them to do like a reverse phone number lookup. I want to pop up. I call these custom apps. Um, I don't think enough has been talked about this, but if you really want data on every desk, if you think about it, right? How can everyone in the business benefit from a central? Um, what if a dealer wanted to develop their own software that could do a like phone pop-up? Is the platform open and friendly to that? I don't know if most people ask these questions and then they say, "Oh, I want to do, Jim is a Power BI reporting genius, what if somebody says, I want to do my own custom, pivot table reports, or I want to have my phone system pull in the tech platform." What would you tell a tech person, right? Like a CTO says, okay, it works, but we want to do more. How open is it, and what would you tell them about that?
Yeah, I think, obviously the first thing we're going to do is try to check and see, is there anything already built in that solves whatever that needed solution is. Oftentimes there's ways to make that happen. I think the discussion is a great discussion to have. I mean, liminal, the name literally means at the threshold, or kind of bridging the gap between then and now, or the future. So we love to kind of live in that space where we come up with solutions and fixes to issues and help things get better. So collaborating, having those conversations, definitely making additional connections, even if there's third-party tools that are working great. Well, then let's keep working with those that are working great and plug them in.
Yep.
So they work great together. So I don't know if that directly answers your question, but it is, in the sense when you say open, um, are you saying open in the sense that we would do custom development for dealers, or are you saying open in
It's
the
like,
sense that
is
we
there an
would?
endpoint, is there an API into your system where it would be easy for someone to pull data out for their own, because there are some dealer groups, right, that have their own performance dashboards, right?
Sure.
Jim does data reporting through Amazon's Redshift data. So is the data in something like a Snowflake or a Redshift or an Azure where, people can get at it?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously, we got to go through all the data compliance and things necessary to make that a safe approach and process.
Right.
But certainly, we can make available through APIs and everything the necessary things.
Great.
Yeah,
Well, I want to thank both of you. I know you're very busy, for taking time. As part of MRC, we definitely like to highlight our newest sponsors. Liminal is one of those. We have a lot of cool AI companies coming to MRC. We're going to have an AI showcase. We're going to be talking about data hygiene. Jim, you're doing a workshop on data reporting. So dealers who are shopping for the best tech stack for their business to meet their objectives. Gary said it best: know what you want to accomplish. It's never perfect, but have some clear expectations. Come out to MRC, meet David, and talk about what Liminal can do. But more importantly, talk to Jim, talk to Gary, talk to other dealers, learn together. We are really in the first or second inning, I think, of first party data management, activation, and transforming the retail tech stack to do more creative things. Jim, the calls you get from the principals of Morgan are frequent. Jim, can you do this? Can you do this? And Gary, you joke, but for the most part, Jim is like, yes, we could do that, which means
Yes.
he's not getting any sleep for the next 2 days. That's what it means. But I just want to encourage dealers to come out to MRC and learn. If you can't get out to MRC, David, you have a website that dealers can go to. What's the URL of that?
Getliminal.com.
Right. Okay. Very simple. Getliminal.com. Thanks everyone for your time. Thanks everyone for listening in. Make sure you listen to all of the podcast sessions associated with this year's MRC. And I look forward to seeing everyone in Palm Beach, Florida, November 16th, 17th, and 18th at the beautiful O Resort. Thanks everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you.
All right. That was perfect, guys. Come on. And David, you were kind of worried, like, you know,
I